y'all, welcome to the City Limitless podcast where we explore beyond Mesa's city boundaries. I'm your host, Ashley, and today we have a very notable guest within the deaf community nationwide, the acting community, and also a very special tie here to Mesa, Arizona. I'd like to introduce to you Academy Award winner, Troy Kotsur.
Hello.
Troy Kotsur is a deaf actor from Mesa, Arizona, and is a shining star in the entertainment world. He has overcome so many obstacles to achieve his dreams, and his talent and passion inspire audiences everywhere. Kotsur's journey began on stage, where he performed with the National Theater of the Deaf and the Deaf West Theater. He later transitioned to screen, appearing on popular TV shows like Criminal Minds, Scrubs, and CSI New York. In 2019, Kotsur made history when he became the first deaf actor to appear on a Star Wars production, playing the Tusken Raider in The Mandalorian. He even came up with his own sign language for that role. Kotsur's breakout role was in 2021 with his film CODA, in which he played the father of a hearing teenage girl. His performance was critically acclaimed, and he even won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, becoming the first deaf male actor to win an Oscar. Welcome, Troy.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so excited to have you. Well, let's jump in. So you are in Mesa, Arizona this week for our film fest. Is that correct?
That's right. I'm here in Mesa at the Mesa Film Festival. And it's an honor because a short documentary that we made called To My Father is being screened here tonight. And so it's extremely special screening this film in my hometown. So I'm here to celebrate. And there's so many community members that know about my history and my father's history. And this is where I grew up. It's such an honor to be here in my hometown.
Well,
here I am.
From one Arizona local to another, I'm so excited to have you here tonight.
Thank you very much. Likewise.
All right, Troy, can you expand on your movie To My Father for us a little bit?
Sure, I'd love to. The backstory is when I won the Best Supporting Role in the movie CODA at the Academy Awards several years ago. In my acceptance speech, I mentioned that my father was my hero. And after that happened, maybe several weeks later, my manager, Mark Finley, contacted me and said that there was a producer who runs a nonprofit organization called Dad Saves America. And they focus on how fathers are a positive influence on families and so on. And they asked to interview me. And so that's where the journey started. And then we started developing this documentary. And of course, they asked me to dig out all these old photos, VHS tapes, and all of these newspaper articles. And so I sent all of these materials to them, and then it's like a part of history that's being documented, which is wonderful. So that's the backstory, and that's how it happened.
Oh.
And I'd love to mention the director, Sean Scavolin, and the producer, John Popola, and the other producer, Justin Bergeron. And that team is the team who made it all happen, and it started there, and we're here today screening in Mesa. So I think it's just a really important message for all parents to see this story and to experience it. And it's just all about quality of time with your kids, no matter what mode of communication you use, and overcoming all barriers, not just deafness, but for all kids.
Absolutely. So let's start out with your background. Give us some information about yourself and your ties to Mesa for the audience that might not know who you are.
I was born and raised in Mesa, Arizona. And so this is my hometown. And it almost never snows here. And it never snowed my entire life growing up, so I just spent time playing outdoors. And I went to the School for the Deaf as well as a mainstream school. And at the School for the Deaf is where I first learned sign language, was exposed to it. And so I'm excited to be here to celebrate. My family's hearing. I have 2 hearing brothers, and my mother and father are hearing. And so I was the one family member who happened to be deaf. And when we were growing up, I got to know everyone in the community here, and I have so many wonderful memories.
I love it. Now, give me a little detail. What high school are you from?
I forget what it's called. I had an evaluation at first because my parents weren't sure where the best fit for me would be as a deaf child. And they found that ASL, American Sign Language, was the best way for my personal education. So at first I went to the Phoenix Day School for the Deaf, and that was my first exposure to ASL, American Sign Language. And so I went to Phoenix Day School, and when I was a sophomore in high school, I decided to transfer to a public school, and the school was called Westwood High School. Warriors! Go Warriors!
My rival.
Oh, I know. Hopefully we can get along tonight.
I think we're doing good so far.
Okay, what a relief.
Awesome.
My wife's here too. She's watching me.
Is she from Arizona?
She was born and raised in California.
Okay.
And in half of her life, she was in Seattle as well. We met through the theater community. And so we noticed each other, we got to know each other, and then it led to falling in love, and we've been together for 24 years.
Oh my gosh, you can see the twinkle in your eye when you talk about her. I love to hear it.
I'm so glad that we've experienced this wild journey together. And I'm so glad to have shared this journey with my wife, and it's great to have her here tonight too.
Well, thank you for bringing her. I'm glad that she was able to tag along. So you mentioned you're from
Always.
Arizona. Your dad has a notable tie to Mesa. Can you expand a little bit on that?
My father's name is Len Kotsur, and he was a cop when I was young. And when he found out I was deaf, he didn't know what to do. And they were trying to figure it out and decided to place me into a school where I could learn sign language. And my father also decided to learn sign language. And looking back, it's pretty incredible realizing that 95% of parents who are hearing, who happen to have deaf children, on average, maybe about 72% of these parents do not learn sign language or know any sign language. And so they miss out on so much of their kids' lives. And my dad happened to be a part of that willing minority who learned sign language. And so it was so integral for our communication. And looking back, my dad really was involved in my life. He taught me how to fish, to water ski, to play golf, go camping, and all of the above. And really, he didn't look at me as having any limitations being deaf. When I was young, we learned how to communicate. And so we had this special bond. And then my dad was in a car accident, and he became paralyzed from the neck down and could no longer sign. And I was so grateful to have my dad involved in my life. And so that's a big theme in our film that we're showing tonight. And my dad really did what was best for his child.
Beautiful. What a lovely story. And you did mention that is a major theme in the movie. Without giving away too much information, can you go a little bit deeper without telling us the whole story of your movie?
I was really inspired seeing my father when I was growing up because my father was a cop and later on the police chief of Mesa. He was extremely busy. He had 4 children, but he still found the time to learn sign language and spend time with us. And his job was quite a risky one as the police chief, and I always hoped he would come home safe night after night. And my dad started as a beat cop and gradually became the chief. And I saw his journey and what he went through, and he became a leader of this community in Mesa. He served the community, and he inspired a lot of people. And I was inspired by him. And so all those memories I have, I was so grateful. And everything that he went through, he still found the time to spend with his kids. And my wife told me an interesting story. So there was an investigative scientific research study that showed the time that parents spend with their children is is about 5 minutes a day on average. So think 5 minutes a day. So you have 1 minute of interaction here, then you're busy, then you have another couple of minutes during lunchtime, or you read your child a story. And this investigative report really showed how much time parents spend with their kids. And language and communication is integral. And so it was ASL, American Sign Language, for me. So that's an important message of our film, and it's something to consider. It's really important that you communicate with your kids, regardless of if they're deaf, hard of hearing, disabled, you name it. You just need to communicate. And you can always figure out a way to communicate.
Beautiful story. Well, I'm so excited that you're getting the opportunity to debut this film here in a hometown that means so much to you. So moving forward, you're an actor. Lead us down that journey and how you got there.
When I was a child, there was no closed caption on TV or film. And so my favorite cartoon was called Tom and Jerry when I was a child, because both of them were nonverbal. It was extremely visual. It was cat and mouse and all these chase scenes. And I would memorize about 5 minutes from Tom and Jerry. And the following morning on the school bus, I would tell the story of what happened in the episode. Their eyes bulging out, getting punched in the face, the bumps rising on the head, the Tweety birds flying above Tom's head. And the kids really enjoyed my storytelling, and it really felt like I had this spark that arose in my chest. And that's where I started becoming passionate about acting and performing, and I wanted to become an actor. And so I really hoped to work in TV or film, but realized pretty quickly that it was hard. You mentioned barriers earlier. And the biggest barrier, of course, is communication, because when you're auditioning, you have them focusing so much on sound and verbal dialogue, and there really wasn't many roles available. And so I started working as an actor on stage at Deaf West Theater, specifically in Los Angeles, and that's why I decided to move there, because this was also the city of TV studios and film, and I wanted to build a network, and so I stayed there for quite a long time and had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and that's life. And it led to being cast in the film CODA. And this was really my last straw. I was about ready to give up, but I got the role. And then the movie was a success. And then, of course, it changed my life completely. It was amazing.
So tell us about your time on CODA, because it sounds like you have a similar situation at home as the role that you played on CODA. Can you tell us a little bit about that dynamic?
Well, it's kind of weird because in real life, my daughter, she just went off to college. She went to the university, Colorado State University, about a couple months ago. And that was the first time I really had to say goodbye to my daughter and had to let go. It was just like in the movie CODA. And this actually happened to me 2 years later, where my daughter went away and I had to disconnect. And oh, it was so emotional. I was so emotional the whole week. And I was, of course, I'm extremely proud of her. And you have to let your bird fly, right? And so we're waiting until our little bird comes back again.
Oh, so CODA prepped you for this time of your life, though. So it wasn't a complete shock, right?
It was funny because sometimes I feel like CODA was really training me for real life, for what was about to happen, you know? And it was just a matter of time. And then in real life, I really had to prepare myself. And I thought, hey, I can handle it. I already went through it in the movie. I think I can do it. No, I couldn't handle it in real life. It was tough. It's tough to say goodbye.
Absolutely. I mean, one day I will experience that, but I've got a little bit of time on my hands until then. So I'm going to savor every moment with our kids at home.
I'm now understanding, you know, because I only have one child. You know, for some folks who have 5 kids and they begin to get a headache and you're in a rush to get rid of them, you know, and it might be an opposite experience for those types of parents.
Very true. I don't know about 5, but very true.
They become a headache. You know, it really depends on the parents. That's the point.
I'll take the parenting advice.
That's why, you know, I don't know if I could handle 4. I had multiple brothers, you know, so my parents went through that too.
And remind me again, how many siblings do you have?
3 brothers.
And where do you fall in line?
I'm third out of 4 kids.
Okay.
My first brother was a cop. My second brother was a fireman, Brian, and I was third. And the fourth brother, his name was Brent. And when I was about 7 years old, he drowned in our family swimming pool when he was 4. It was accidental. And his brain no longer functioned after that. And that's another good example of how much love my parents had. And they would spend as much time as they could visiting my brother every weekend. And it really showed how much they cared. Even though they were so busy, they still spent time with my little brother. And he passed away eventually, and we had to unplug him. And so we had to move on. And so looking back, really, I'm so grateful for everything my father taught me and how precious time is with your siblings and your family members.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm so sorry about your loss, but thank you. Well, moving forward, what are your plans for the next few years, and what do you see yourself doing?
After I won the Oscar, I had so many opportunities and a few projects in development and a lot of meetings. And of course, right now we're on hold because of the Actors Union strike, the SAG-AFTRA strike. And I'm really focusing on spending time with my wife and playing golf before it'll be time to get back to work. But I'm ready to go back to work. I'm starting to get the itch.
Well, since we are a travel destination, I do have to ask you, where's your guys' favorite place to travel to in this downtime that you have?
I love kayaking on the Salt River. It's beautiful to see the wild horses, and it's a beautiful escape. It's almost a meditative time. And I love playing golf and playing with my dog, and it's really great for me to let go and then go back to the crazy job in Hollywood.
Awesome.
We just came back from London, England,
Okay.
and we had an event in California and just flew into Mesa this morning.
I heard you're a busy bee.
It's just one example of what my schedule is like after winning an Oscar. You know, I never had to work in a cubicle. My office is planet Earth, and I can work anywhere on planet Earth.
Oh, what a great perspective. I love that. Well, Troy, we're going to wrap up. I just want to thank you so much for taking your time today, coming and visiting us here in Mesa, coming to visit Mesa, being on the City Limitless podcast. It has been such an amazing experience. Thank you so much for taking your time out to spend some time with us this evening in Mesa, debuting your movie, and it's been so great having you. And once again, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, that's a wrap on the City Limitless podcast. Check us out on all social media platforms. Like, subscribe, and comment to our YouTube channel. Bye.
That's what I feel free.